Hi there, and welcome to Your Journey Yoga. I'm Cheryl. Thanks for joining me today. And continuing on with our series of pose breakdowns, one of my favorites, and if you've ever been with class with me, you know that it is, Chaturanga or Crocodile. A very, very strong pose, one that works your entire body. It is a fundamental piece of yoga practice, and particularly mine. I feel that there's a lot of strength opportunity in the lower body and not as much in the upper body in a lot of yoga. So I like to incorporate that into my practice and hopefully into yours. So to do a chaturanga can be very challenging. So there are wonderful modifications that you can do, but there are some fundamental pieces that you want to make sure that you are focusing on and paying attention to. So hopefully we can cover a lot of that today. As I always say, if you have any feedback or if you need further clarification, please just leave me a comment and I will address it. Either to everybody or just specifically to you. So I'm guaranteed that if you have that question, probably so does somebody else. So our Crocodile or Chaturangas are part of our Sun Salutations, the Yoga Flow series. In my classes, I will often add in just extra, whether they be push-ups or slower Chaturangas, Crocodiles. So yes, I just love them. So without further ado, Chaturanga or Crocodile. So typically we would be doing through a flow, so starting in mountain pose and working through. However, we are just going to come into a Chaturanga from our down dog. So we did do the down dog, so if you're not familiar with that, give yourself a refresher and head back to that video if you need to. Otherwise, to come into our down dog, we're going to tuck our toes and we're going to lift those hips. So it might take you a moment, and what I always like to do, particularly if you're just starting out, but it's always a nice place to just kind of get yourself into proper form. So from our down dog, with our hands shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, we're going to inhale it forward, and we're going to work to line the shoulders up over the fingertips. So if you're not quite there, you can adjust here. So we want to make sure we're not way back, and we're not really far forward, just right over those fingertips. Now, if you were to exhale and lift your hips, you should be able to come right back to that down dog position. So our shifting from down dog to high plank should give you that proper alignment of where your hands and your feet should be. As we inhale back to our high plank. Now, if you have been doing crocodiles for a while and you want to remain on your toes, that's fine. Modifying crocodile, we bring the toes or the knees to the mat. Now our bottom is going to work to create a nice long diagonal line. If we need to bring it up a little bit, that's okay, but often better just to hold your plank position here. So for our crocodiles, we're going to rotate those elbows. If you can notice, I can move those arms, courtesy of the radius and the ulna, to be able to manipulate the arms. And we want to, if you can visualize that there's an eyeball on the inside of your elbow, you want that to see right out the top of your mat. So with those hands shoulder width apart, knees are remaining on the floor if you need them to be, we're going to rotate so that eyeball can see the top center, right? And then as you exhale, if those elbows are shifted and the arms are turned, as we lower down, the elbows come right by the ribs. Now, when we come into our lowest crocodile, there's a lot of room to play. We don't want to come any lower than those shoulders are in line with the elbows. So we don't want to drop down. Staying up and keeping that length through the crown of the head. From here, we untuck the toes and extend for our up dog. Okay, so that was a little extra cheater, a little extra pose, so that up dog, because that's typically what comes after our chaturanga or our crocodile. So the biggest things, I'll do that at front position too, so you can see kind of how the elbows come right by the ribs. But typically, it's literally like the elbows are just brushing. So you're feeling the insides of your biceps brush against your rib cage as you come down. So we have this tendency, traditional push-ups, elbows are wide. This is not a traditional push-up. We will do those in class from time to time, but this is our crocodile. So those elbows are in, firing up the triceps, They are more challenging than a typical push-up. So don't be surprised if you're like, holy cow, how is this even possible? It comes, but it comes in time. So give yourself patience. Have yourself patience. So again, from our crocodile, this time toes are up. We rotate those elbows. Our belly is strong, and we lower down in one slow, steady movement. Again, elbows, or the shoulders no lower than the elbows. Elbows right against the rib cage. We press it through up dog. Voila. Okay, so some typical things that I see a lot of is the hips dropping. So I know it's so tempting that you want to go and be your very, very best. Okay, remind yourself that your very best is your best form. It is not your range of motion if your form is falling apart. Okay, I don't want you guys to get hurt. I don't want you to be upset or sad or anything. I want you to feel great about your practice. And that comes from consistency, patience, humor, lack of ego, and no point systems. Okay, so we find the place where we feel the strongest, and that's where we're going to be. And then we slowly, incrementally challenge ourselves more. Okay, and a crocodile does not have to be from top to bottom. Okay, so we can have, if you've progressed to the point where this is just downright easy, you want to come here. It's a baby crocodile. Little crocodiles. Slowly getting bigger crocodiles. And bigger crocodiles. To the point where we can come down to that low crocodile. And sometimes, I have you guys hold it. Wonderful way to get stronger and stronger is to hold at those different levels just for a breath. I know it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. So again, patience, no ego, and just celebrate where you are. So when I mentioned earlier, those hips can kind of drop, okay? So it doesn't typically happen when the knees are down, although it can. So this is what I see, is the arch of the back. Okay, we've let go through the core. And this is just gonna wreak havoc in that lower back. It's not great for the shoulders either, because as you come down, now you've got that big sway back and you've got a lot of pressure in those shoulders. So always keep those hips. Always better to have them a little bit higher than to be too low. A lot of times I see it with the knees up, and it's you start to go, you start to go, you start to go, and all of a sudden, there we are. Where are we? Not in a good crocodile. So we wanna make sure we stay strong, keeping those hips right in line, moving slowly and together. Press it through up dog. Give yourself. And sit it back to child's pose. Find your breath. And then walk those hands back up. So that, my friends, was crocodile. Hopefully that answered a lot of questions and gave you some good feedback and some things to work on. Always a work in progress, guys. It's a journey, right? Okay, take care of yourselves. Have an amazing day. Leave me feedback. If you need any answers or questions answered, let me know. And I look forward to the next time. Take care.